All right, I don't see a quorum yet. I think we're waiting on one more person. Well, I'll just fill in some time here while we're waiting. We've seen a spike this week in some of our numbers on COVID, and I see Everjane. Okay, it's forward. It's Monica and Joe. I think I see a quorum. Is that right, Miss Sandy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, this is Kevin Smith, and I will call our meeting October 6, 2020 to order. I want to welcome KJIW and the Daily World and any other guests that we have tonight. We appreciate you coming. Sandy, call the roll.
Davis.
Here.
St. Columbia.
Here.
Crockett. Franklin. Mr. Etherly's going to be late. Forward.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
That makes a quorum.
Okay. I think I see Judge King, and if there's no objection, I'm going to let Judge King go ahead and skip to the front of the line, and then we'll come back and do the minutes and the rest of that later. Judge King, you're recognized. Judge King, you're recognized. Can you hear me, Judge King? Hey, Derek. Derek, if you can hear me, unmute your computer so we can hear Judge King. Or I guess, or whose computer is that? I see two Derek Turners.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just can't hear Judge King.
I'm trying to turn this one down. So. Hold on, I know what I
Getting an echo.
Okay.
Okay, good. We can hear you now. Judge King, go ahead. You're recognized.
I think the council members have a copy of the letter to them from Dion Carter dated July 10th of this year, and also another letter dated or sent to them, and a list of what I propose that the increase in the employees that be granted. If all the council members have a copy of this information.
I have a copy of it. Joe St. Columbia, yes.
Board, I have a copy.
Okay.
Franklin, I have a copy.
All right. Any questions for the judge? Are you done? All right, any questions for Judge King? Judge King.
I have one.
Mr. Franklin.
Hey, Judge King, this is Christopher Franklin. I was trying to see how far did you want to go back with this? Did you want to go back to when you originally did it, or did you just want to start from this day moving forward?
Whatever the council feels is appropriate. You know, since this pandemic has been going on, we officially didn't reopen court until June the 2nd here in Phillips County. I reopened June 1st, Monday, up in Lee County. And needless to say, it's been a hardship on everyone. That's all I have to say.
Any other questions? I guess my question, Judge, would be, I was trying to figure out from the handout, what are the raises? Basically what we're talking about is giving raises for all the staff at district court, or just the district court clerk?
All the staff, Mayor. John Thomas and Lewis Hall included.
And can you tell me what that raise is? Where's it going from and what's it going to?
Well, you have a copy of the 2020 budget that was sent in?
I don't have it.
Per hour, yearly pay, position, and the hire date. That's what I'm looking at.
No, I don't have the 2020 budget in front of me.
I sent that information earlier today. I can't remember what I called it.
I see a base pay ordinance.
Mayor,
something about the district court.
Mr. Attorney, you called. I'm sorry, Ms. Ford.
Mayor Smith, that's the sheet of paper that says the 2020 budget that you and I looked over before you left.
I see it now. Is that how much they're getting paid now, or how much you're proposing they get paid?
That's proposed.
Does it show on here what they're getting paid currently in the 2020 budget that's been approved?
I sent something earlier that has district court costs for the district court raises or something like that. I sent an email. I CC'd you on it. I sent it to the council, but I CC'd you on it.
Okay. Does anybody know?
Yes, I received it.
Me as well.
But can anybody answer that question? How much is the raise? I mean, that's basically the question.
The salaries would be about close to $40,000 for a year. And altogether with salary and benefits, it comes out to be, from the current salaries to the proposed salaries, to the salaries that Judge King's proposing, be about $48,096.65. That's just approximate.
Is there
Mr. Joe St. Columbia, is that the sheet I got today? Because it shows 48,000 on it. Is that the sheet I received today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And that would be on an annualized basis.
Is there a percentage? Are they all getting a certain percentage across the board?
I didn't calculate a certain percentage. I mean, it's not evenly, it's not like everyone is getting 15% or everyone's getting $2 or anything like that.
So how are you arrived at what was the, since they're not all the same, how were they determined, I guess, arrived at?
I would hope they were based on some type of merit.
Mr. Turner, Sandy,
Yes, ma'am.
the page I'm looking at shows the yearly salary for the first person would be $33,530. Is that the right page?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, I won't hold this up. Those are some questions I didn't have. Any other questions from the council? No, I mean, I'll register, that I'm not in favor of this with all due respect, mainly because we're going into a new budget year soon. We have a lot of people that want raises, that are going to want them even more. And they're going to wonder why, when we've been holding back for a while for financial reasons, really, to see what the COVID thing would do, and for a lot of other reasons. Suddenly we're doing this, and we have a new judge coming in January on top of that, who might have his own ideas. So, in respect, I'm not in favor of this. But, I just want to register that for the record. Anybody else in the council?
Yes, Chris Franklin, I have something. Mayor, this has been going on for a while. Before the COVID-19, before when we did the budget, these are the same people that you fired. So you had more detail about what they were getting then and what they were going to, because at the beginning of the year, we asked Judge King to come, and Judge King said he was coming. He had some obligations. And I think you knew as well as we knew that these people had been expecting these raises since you fired them. And you were advised not to do that. So I think out of respect to the judge, if he's their supervisor, if this is what he's saying that he would like for his people to have, and if we have it, I think we should move forward with it. If anybody else wanted a raise and needed a raise, you has been study saying with the COVID-19, I just got on the call, so I'm gonna ask the treasurer about the finance in just a minute. But it's like it's a lot of things that you have done to district court, and I don't think that you respect them or acknowledge them. They're going to court in the midst of this pandemic. They're still doing their job. Even the Judge King, I'm grateful that he's still handling court. The courts is still making money. So I think that you need to look at all those things as well before you say you're not in favor. It's a lot of things that the council have did to make sure that we were financially sound, with the treasury reports and all the things that the treasurer does to make sure that we know how much money we have. So I'm in favor of it, because these people have been doing their job, been coming to work during the pandemic and past it. They still at work. Every Thursday, I think it's Wednesday and Thursday, or Tuesday and Thursday, they're in court, or Thursday and Friday, whichever the court day is, they're in court. I'm pretty sure that you're paying the courts are paying someone to come in to sanitize the courtroom the 2 days that we have court. So I think fair is fair. They're they're just as important as me or you or anybody else. You come to work every day putting your health at risk, and they're coming in a room with different people putting their health at risk as well. That's something to think about, Mayor, because it was never mind.
You want to put that in the form of a motion then?
I'd like to what the council pleasure is, the other members. I don't want to jump in front of them, but I can. It doesn't matter to me.
Are there any other council members that have any questions or comments?
Joe St. Columbia here, Mr. Mayor. I'm in favor of giving these people a raise. And I've looked over the sheet that the judge sent us, and I think it's understandable and reasonable. My only concern here is, do we have the money? And secondly, what about the other people that certainly deserve raises as well? All the other employees of the city that have continued during this pandemic as well, they certainly need to raise as well. I think we need to sit down and look at giving all these people a raise that have worked during this period of time, and they're going to be coming back at us soon. So, I mean, we need to take that into consideration as to what we need to do. But I have no objection to what the judge has recommended. I think it's reasonable.
Any other members of the council?
Mr. St. Clement, would you like to put that in the form of a motion?
Well, I'd like to hear what the others, Mr. Ethleon, I'd like to hear his remarks about it. What he thinks. He's one of the members of the council, been there a long time. Is he on yet?
Man, I'm here, but I'm sorry. I've missed the entire. I just logged in, so I've missed the entire discussion.
Okay. Any other members of the council? Questions, comments?
I have a comment. This is Davis.
Davis?
I agree that they deserve it, but I also agree with the mayor that once you open that door for giving raises, I mean, regardless of the departments, everybody's going to want one, and everybody's supervisor is going to come. I'm not saying that they don't deserve it, but that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Any other comments, questions?
I have a comment. We got a couple more people that's on the call right now. We've given police what they needed. I'm pretty sure fire is next. I'm pretty sure the water department is next. Sanitation. We just gave some people in the sanitation a raise. So, Mayor, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, Mayor, but that's kind of like we just gave some CDL drivers. Am I correct? We just did that. So how is it that we saying no now, but a couple of weeks ago it was yes? So I mean, that's why I was asking, when we don't have city council meetings, I was asking, can we have some form of a workshop? Because last month we only had one meeting, and we should have. If we knew we was gonna get to this, we asked the judge to come. He's came and delivered what he needed to deliver. Now we got fire gonna come next. So I mean, how do we? I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm just kind of lost at this point, because we had people to come to present, and now we're saying, well, we gotta wait to the budget. It's too late in the year. So what are we doing? I mean, because clearly that we wasn't saying that when someone. We had to pay $20,000 for a phone line that was somebody was told that it was too close to a house. The fire was too close to a phone line. Clearly, we're gonna pay that $25,000, Mayor. I'm pretty sure we should discuss that as well. That was money that could have went into some salaries. We're gonna pay that kind of money. So I'm just one person. So that's just where I stand with it. We should be able to do things in decent. And then we got this FEMA money that you said that. With the police department, we got FEMA on the other hand is supposed to reimburse us some money. Have we got those reimbursed? Well, I just wait till we get to the treasury report. I'm just going.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? And would anybody like to make a motion or anything else before we move on?
Mr. Mayor, Joe St. Columbia, I'd like to ask the treasurer, how would this fit into our present budget? Do we have the money if we took action tonight, would we have the money financially to handle this?
Actually, we only have a quarter left in this year. And you just took 25% of the $48,000 increase. It would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $12,000 increase in the budget. What you would be doing was pretty much what you guys would be doing would be approving the raises and approving appropriations. $12,000 for the rest of this year. But like I said, you have to keep in consideration, you have it'll be $48,000 annually. So you have to keep that in consideration for next year's budget. And also, there are some places that you can reduce the appropriations in some other areas. It just depends on how you guys want to prioritize this and how important you think it is right now to do it.
I don't want to see the council get into a strain here at the end of the year. That's why I ask you that question. You should know our financial arrangements and what's forthcoming. We want to stay as stable as we possibly can. Mr. Etherly, have you got a comment to make yet?
I mean, Joe, and to everyone, I missed the entire presentation. I apologize. I had some unexpected things that happened. I missed the entire presentation. My position at this point would be I would be inclined to, if there's another meeting, even if it be a special meeting, or Mr. Franklin keeps talking about a workshop, which is just a meeting, another meeting to discuss this and other financial matters. I'm not opposed to that. I can't do anything at this point because I don't even know what's been discussed. And, you know, I like to walk away from my votes being able to explain to a person on the street corner why I did what I did. I can't do that right now because I don't have the information. So if, I mean, if there's some desire to consider it in a separate setting, I'm not opposed to that. I just can't do anything. I can't take any action right now because I don't even know what's been talked about.
Well, if I could, I think, you know, the point that was made last year was that the district court judge needed to come forward and present what he wanted to do, and he has done that tonight. And if we're not ready to take action on it tonight, I don't think, and of course you can ask him questions when we're not in a meeting session, I guess. But to me, that was the biggest point. And you have come, Judge. So I want to say thank you, first of all, for your time and coming forward, and also take this opportunity to thank you for your service, because you're leaving at the end of this year. And I can't even remember, how long have you been district court judge, Judge King?
It's close to 25 years, Mayor.
25 years. Wow. That's a long time.
Yes, it is.
So I certainly want to tell you that I think I speak for everyone when I say we appreciate your service.
Thank you.
So, and we appreciate you coming tonight. If there is anything else on this subject, then we can entertain that. If not, we'll move on to the next time. And then we can take this up later when people are at a comfortable level.
Well, I can say this, Mayor, if it's possible, since if everybody's in agreement, we can just have a workshop by the end of this week. So that means whoever else is on the agenda looking for a raise, we handle all this together so that we can make this kind of short and sweet. If we're gonna, because I'm pretty sure that some more people are on the line, and it's already been shot down for district court. So the other people probably feeling the same way. So Mr. Turner said that it would cost us $12,000. So we right here at the end of the year. So I'm trying to see, can we have some kind of workshop, a special call meeting by Thursday, if that's fine with everybody, so we can get all these issues together, because we have another meeting. Ms. Ramsey, when is our next city council meeting?
I'll have to look and see. Hold on a second.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll be the 20th.
So if we can have a workshop, some form of a meeting, so we can discuss our raises and see where can we kind of meet in the middle with this, because we like I said, we just gave the CDL driver something. We've been doing small things, Mayor, and I kind of want to make sure that we ask the judge to come here. District court has been on hold. We restructure the police department. Now you're trying to restructure the fire department as well. So I think we should kind of get all this together so we'll know how much. And I know we lost some money due to the jail. So I think, Mr. Turner, have y'all discussed the Treasury report yet?
No, we're going to do that. We
Okay.
want.
I'll just wait to after the. I'm sorry. I'll just wait to after the Treasurer's report. But I'm in favor of seeing people, qualified people, getting what they deserve. But I don't want to jump ahead. But I do want to make sure that, Mr. Turner, are you sure about our finances right now that we can move forward with this? And all things, not to put you on the spot where you can answer later, but once I see, I got the Treasury report, I just hadn't had a moment to look and see where we are right now. But when the Treasury report come out, I'll just get back and talk about it.
I won't be presenting the Treasury report to the second meeting. You know, I haven't even received our bank statements yet.
Yeah, I know, but the last Treasury report, I have some of those numbers. But I said normally, you know, you give us the Treasury report as the second meeting. So the 1st of November, we'll talk about October's Treasury report. I mean, the second weekend, we'll run a month behind, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about September at the end of this month, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I want to kind of get a feel on that. Mayor, I'm through with that, but I'm in favor of it. But before we get off the phone tonight, can we schedule? Because we have took care of some departments. Am I correct about that, Mr. Turner? We have taken care this year. In the last couple of months, we have taken care of some departments. Right or wrong, Mr. Turner?
Yeah, we've taken care
Yes, sir.
of some
Yes, sir.
restrictions, in the police and the fire department.
Right.
All right,
So
Mr. Franklin, we're getting ready to move on to those departments, but do we have anything else on the district court issue before we move on? If not, let's thank you again, Judge King, for your attendance tonight, and we'll consider
Council members, I appreciate the time. If I can be excused, please. Thank you. Y'all later.
Ms. Ramsey, do you want to go back to the minutes and pick up where we would have been, and then we'll go down the.
Okay.
The next minutes are actually is July 21st. Yeah.
Yes, sir. We didn't have a quorum last time.
All right. So we so that was in your packet, and you can check it over, see if you have any changes. All right. You ready? I'll entertain a motion. Yeah.
What was the motion, Mayor?
It was on the passage of the minutes of July the 21st.
I so move that we accept those minutes.
St. Columbia moves that we adopt the minutes from July 21st. Is there a second? Anybody want to second that motion?
Second.
Is that Mr. Etherly?
Yes.
Okay, motion seconded by Mr. Etherly. Ms. Sandy, call the roll. Ms. Ramsey.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yes.
Ms. Crockett, Mr. Franklin, Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
4 yes.
Motion passes. Now the minutes from September 15th. Make sure you've had a chance to look that over. Make any suggested changes. And when you're ready, I'll accept a motion.
I move we approve those minutes as well, Mr. Mayor.
Moves adoption of the minutes of September 15th. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Edley seconds the motion. Ms. Ramsey, call the roll.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Crockett, Mr. Franklin, Mr. St. Columbia,
Yes.
4 yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes. Okay. And as Mr. Turner said earlier, he does not have a treasury report will be at the second meeting. We've already dispensed with the salary adjustments for court personnel under business. The next item on the agenda would be the new agreements for prosecutors Halbert and Boyd. Mr. Valley? Mr. Valley?
Yes, I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Your picture froze on us. You want to go ahead and talk about that?
Oh, yes. I met with Mr. Chuck Halbert and as well as with Amy Boyd. This was before you all previously. I thought that you all had voted on it, but the issue is, as you all are aware, that James Valley is my brother. He's an attorney, and part of the issue is the appearance of impropriety. And what I mean by that is this. While I do not have a conflict of interest for James Valley coming before the city council, coming before the court, he handles he and Philip Allen, probably the two lawyers that handle most of the docket for his paying clients. He, Don Ethley, and Philip Allen are the three lawyers that we deal with most in court. And the issue has been, we've contracted with the two of them relating to handling cases involving James Valley and any other cases. And what they're saying is that it's become too time consuming and they're asking for a raise. They both are being paid $250 a month and they were asking for $500 a month each. And so that's what the issue is in a nutshell. And they presented contracts and that's what they're asking for in the contract, was simply to ask for $500 each on per month. But if you all would need, I can provide you a list of all the James Valley cases. There are a lot, but every week he has cases. He has the right as a lawyer to practice in our court. But that's the issue that is before you now. Previously, we've paid the other lawyers $500 individually, but when the two of them came, they divided it out as two separate lawyers, and we still kept the same amount as $500. But they're saying, because one comes on Tuesdays, this Chuck Halbert, he does all the docket on Tuesdays, and Amy Boyd does the docket on Thursdays. And what they're saying is not sufficient because it takes far more time than what it is, because we have court every week and they're doing it. So that's what the contract is about in a nutshell.
Thank you, Mr. Val. If I'm not mistaken, we kind of approved this before, but you pointed out, or somebody did, that we didn't have the actual contracts in hand, so we needed to wait to do that officially. Am I recalling that?
That's what happened at the meeting. Now, some of y'all may be confused because I'm at City Hall, and so you're seeing an image of me in one place talking, but you also see an image of a phone because the phone is it breaks down, so I call in as well so you can hear me on my cell phone so it'll be clearer conversation. But I think you've already approved it, and but the thing is you want the contract brought back, so the contracts are before you now. At least they were supposed to be in your packet.
Thank you, Mr. Valley. Any questions for Mr. Valley?
Have we approved this agreement? Have we approved this?
You've done similar agreements every year for everyone, and you approved one earlier this year, but this one is a raise. I think that what you did was we discussed it, but I don't know if we ever approved it. If you all ever approved it last month, it's been less than 30 days or less than 60 days, I know.
They didn't approve
this.
They need to vote.
Say what, Ms. Ramsey?
They need to vote.
Okay. There you have it. Ms. Ramsey said it was not. Oh.
So it was not approved.
No.
Okay. So, can we do it the same way we're gonna do the district court and everybody else? Can we put them on the same thing for the workshop? Since
this
right.
Judge St. Columbia, I agree. I think that we need to put it all together and do it all at once.
Yes, sir.
Well, Well, I was going to make the same suggestion that if we're going to do a special meeting to consider one, we consider all at the same time.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Thank you, Mr. St. Columbia, for that.
Well, any other comments or questions, Mr. Valley?
Mr. St. Columbia is here again. I would like to say I understand what you're asking and I'm in favor of it. I just want to make sure our budget and our financing, and Mr. Turner is involved with it too. With all the other raises, I think that we need to all be on the same page. And that's my personal views. I'm for going forward with this thing if we've got the money to do it.
Mr. Valley, I have a question for you. How much are we paying Mr. Wilson?
I don't know. Mr. Wilson, I think he's completed his. It was supposed to be $2,500 for it, but he handled all the cases over the past, I guess, 12 months with David LaBrace, but it's been several different cases. But I think, if I remember, it was $5,000, but Mr. Turner may know more accurately than me because David LaBrace and Friedeberg had so many cases that I don't know the precise number, but there's been more than one contract to answer your question, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Mr. Turner could probably answer the total of what was paid, but I believe it was over $5,000.
Yeah, I think it was. We had to approve it, and I think we've signed some checks.
Yes, you brought that to City Council that was approved by the City Council, but he handled the case involving LaBrace. Mr. Turner, do you know the total?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay.
Not off the top of my head.
Any other questions or comments from the council? I would the only thing I would say would be we didn't officially approve it at the last meeting because we didn't have the contracts, and I think Mr. Valley pointed out that we needed to do this officially with the contracts in hand, and so we pushed it, the official approval back to this week. Even though I have a position on district court, I can understand why it makes sense to wait and get more information because it's kind of a new thing. This is not a new thing. And the fire department promotions, the next on the list, and the base pay ordinance, and after that, those aren't new things. We've been talking about those a long time, and I don't know that we're going to have any additional information in a workshop or a meeting that we have on district court, which is fine with me. Could include a lot of other things, but these things are one of the things we've already talked about for a long time. So I don't know that we're really accomplishing that much by pushing this off to another meeting.
And Mayor, I have to differ with you on that because we have been talking about district court. We have been talking about all these things together. And it does make sense. And I'm glad Mr. Anthony and Mr. St. Columbia chimed in to say that if we're going to move on something, let's package this together, see how much all this is going to cost us. Because I do agree that these attorneys need to be paid. I do agree the district court needs to be paid. I do agree that the police and fire, street sanitation, the landfill, I agree. Miss Sandy has some ladies in the office, the whole city. But we need to get a handle because, as you said earlier, that we were supposed to get some money back from FEMA for the overtime that we spent during the Easter storm. All these things tie in together. And, you don't want anybody to say, well, I'm being held up. We just need to figure out what we have. Mr. Turner has been good on the Treasury report. We want to make sure that we can stay afloat. Because, I don't want to get out here and somebody say, well, y'all just spending recklessly. So I'm just trying to make sure that if we package all this together and see where we stand on it, and the treasurer can say, hey, we have the numbers, we can move forward, then I'm fine with it. But I don't think it doesn't look good. You pass one thing to say, oh, it's okay for this group, but it's not okay for that group. We just need to put it all together, and that's just me. And I'm willing to work with district court, the attorneys, street sanitation, landfill, and the administration. I'm willing to work with all that to make sure we have the numbers and we have the finance to push this forward. But I don't think that you give one and then have a different opinion. Oh, well, we shouldn't do this, but we can do this. Money is money, whether it's 10 cents or $20, money is money.
Mr. Turner, do you have any idea of what the revenue impact would be on this the rest of the fiscal year?
With what?
On the contracts for the attorneys?
I mean, for the rest of the year,
Yeah.
$3,000 or $4,000. Because they're increasing, they're actually in effect increasing about 5 for each one.
No, it's increased about $250 for each one. It's $500 total for the month.
It'll be 500. Yeah. No, what you're trying to do is you're paying each one $250 right for now, and so you
Correct.
would be paying each one $500.
Okay.
So that would be whatever that is times 3 or 4 months. I can't remember when we paid them. I don't know if we paid them for September or not. So, but whatever it would be, that additional, so it would be October, since October, it would be October, November, December. $1,500.
Of course, the other issue is when we push something off, by the time it's ratified and takes effect, it's actually going to be a less of a revenue impact, right? Because we're doing it later. So
yeah.
Mayor, do we want to look at it? I know we're talking about through the end of the year, but what about sustainability? Because you don't want to go ahead and approve it at this amount, then come next year we say, well, we can't pay that, we don't have enough. So do we need to really, really look down the road a little?
Right. Well, I think we can, I mean, it's not that much money. In my opinion, it's something we already approved, but it's up to the council.
I guess I just wasn't speaking on the attorneys. I'm the courts and whoever else, whatever other entity is coming behind them when we're looking at giving raises and increases.
Now that's an excellent question. And I think that it's a good, I think generally speaking, it's a good idea. The issues on the agenda tonight, including this one, have been presented. The next one, the fire department and the police department too, if you remember, the plan there was to take that out of, or to reduce overtime, which we've succeeded doing in the police department, and at least in the last few months, with the help of these two gentlemen who represent, and Mr. Turner and others, we've done that with the fire department as well. So, you know, that was the specific goal in this fiscal year for both those issues. We're going to talk about the base pay ordinance, which I think is about officially doing the CDL drivers. We've had to re-advertise because even at $13.13, we got 0 applications. We have a need for at least 2 CDL drivers. And when we had some out because of the health issues, we were putting an awful lot of strain on the 2 people we had driving those trucks. They really deserve a lot of credit, but it put a lot of strain. And we've been advertising at $13.13. We just re-advertised it. We might have 1 who qualifies, who's applied. So again, that's not something that you want to wait until the items on the agenda tonight, with the possible exception, are items that we have already taken into consideration on all the finances. We just haven't done them. So if you put them off, I mean, that's certainly your prerogative. But the reason they're on the agenda tonight has a history that we've been working on for months. And if anything, for example, the fire department was really approved. It's just that we thought we approved it, but the amendment wasn't drafted correctly. So really, this is a correction of something we've already thought we did. The base pay ordinance is really a ratification of something that y'all approved us going forward to advertise 2 weeks ago. So again, we're already advertising at 1313 because y'all already approved doing that with the idea that we would come back and formalize it this session. So there are practical reasons why we want to go ahead and address these tonight. And I would say this is one of them. You have a lot of cases here that are packing up because of COVID. You had a lot of, and the judge in here has been a question for him, but I have 2 lawyers here, so maybe you could help. But you know, I think that the docket is pretty busy, right? Because we went a long time where we had to continue cases and didn't get to have court. So we have, and as you pointed out, Mr. Valley's brother is one of the main attorneys in those cases. So it has a bearing right now. And I would urge you to try and deal with it tonight if you can. Anybody else?
And Mayor, I want to say this. You're right, but also when the district court officers, all of them was fired, it had a bearing on district court as well. So this has been going on a while. So all these issues, when the district court, the district chief clerk, let me slow down. When the chief deputy was fired and all her deputies were fired and the officers, it was a bearing on the courts then, and you were told not to do it. So it was a bearing then. Those people thank God they hadn't took legal action against the city, but they could have. So it goes back further. I'm not saying that nobody doesn't deserve it, but Mayor, how does it look? We put a set of people off and say, hey, we got it here. We didn't have a meeting. We only had 1 meeting last month, and I urged that we should have another meeting in case something like this happened, but we didn't. My thing is, you can't put one off, say, oh, it's okay for you, but it's not okay for them. It looks kind of bad. So with the police and fire, we also will look at it and do what we need to do. But I don't, like earlier, my call, when it was called in the row, my phone was muted. I couldn't say anything. So I'm for make sure people need what they have to take care of the city. But I want to make sure we can take care of everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Anybody else in the council have anything else on this issue of the 2 contracts? Mr. Valley, do you have anything else on that?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor. I don't. I think y'all have echoed everything that I've already said. I agree that we need to do it sooner rather than later if we're going to do it. It helps with the efficiency of the court, and I agree with both. I agree with the mayor as assessment as to the co-board. We've been delaying things, and now things are getting busier and busier. So I think that all the financial issues should be taken care of pretty quickly. I concur also with the fact that with the fire department and with the sanitation department, these issues were previously been discussed, and with this issue has been previously discussed. I think that you all should go ahead. You all decided that you're going to go ahead and have this workshop. I ask that you all do it as quickly as possible so that we won't continue to languish on these matters.
Okay. Anybody else from? Let me just say this. I'll entertain a motion. If not, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. But I will entertain a motion at this time to approve the contracts regarding the prosecutors. All right. No motion to move forward. Then we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, which is the amendment to, the fire department promotions. Chief Brown and Mr. Turner, you want to recognize if you want to go over that?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council.
Oh, good evening.
First of all, I'd like to give a little praise to my men for working as hard as they've been working during this pandemic. Everybody that I've requested a promotion for, I attest that they are that they've illustrated that they could do the job, and we're looking forward to try to promote these guys, that they deserve it. It's been since 2017 since we've had promotions. And I understand what the other departments are requesting, but our situation is a little different because the money's already allocated. It's not necessarily a raise, it's a promotion per se. So hopefully you guys will consider this.
Thank you, Chief Brown. Ms. Turner, do you have anything?
No, other than just some information that I sent to City Council regarding the cost of the promotions. Their promotions will come out to be in the neighborhood of $26,000 for, I think it was 13 firemen, I believe.
That's correct, it's 13.
And one thing about the fire department, like I said, they've had some reductions in overtime, which was able to pay for it. And also with the, like I explained the last council meeting, you have some lot fee discounts. And I'm not sure off the top of my head, it's in the $100,000 range with the lot fee. Retirement benefit, the payments that we pay in would be due about $100,000. And so that reduction in expenses can easily be taken out of the appropriations to add an additional $26,000. That's if the council so chooses. And also with the police department has also had a discount in their lot fee benefits also. So as far as those two departments are concerned, those increases in salaries can easily be offset by reduction in the lot fee benefits that we have to pay.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And I would just add that we thought we did this at the same time we did the police department promotions. And it's no fault of the gentleman here tonight, but they were, the amount of money was not changed in the ordinance when we did that. We thought it was, but it wasn't. The promotions were actually included, just not the dollar amount. So really, this is more of a cleanup thing than anything else. And secondly, we held out the promise to both the fire department and the police department that if they would get a handle on overtime, we would reward that with raises and promotions. And so that's what we did when we passed this the first time. And I want to commend Steve Brown and his team and Mr. Turner and everybody else for working hard on it. They've done a very good job. And this is really, like I said, just cleaning up a clerical error in the thing that we passed earlier already. Any questions or comments from the council about this?
I have one. So what you're saying now is that we've already passed this.
We approved the promotions for both fire and police. The ordinance was correct on the money with both the promotions and the money on the police side. On the fire side, the promotions were included, but not the money. And so since Brown has been chief, he has worked hard to get that straightened out. And so that's what this is.
So we approved the promotions, but not the money.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Joe St. Columbia.
Yes, sir.
Is it understood that by making these promotions, it really, in essence, not going to cost us considerably any money by making the promotions? Is that correct?
Well, what's the rev? Well, here's before Ms. Turner answers. There's certainly a revenue impact to it, but if I know I don't have to remind you too much about what a struggle it's been with overtime, which is something that we don't regulate or haven't regulated, I should say, as well as we should have. And the departments have shown the discipline to work on that. And so, yes, it's new money. No, it's kind of not, because we're spending less money than we actually were spending because we're spending so much less on overtime. And yet these guys are working just as hard as they were. So, and again, that is a testimony not to me, but to the guys you see on your screen here. So this is just correcting something that we, that was incorrect in the first ordinance that was passed, along with the police department and the promotions of the fire department.
And did I understand also that it's the last time we promoted was in 2017? Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Columbia. That's correct. 2017 is the last time that we were able to promote.
I think we should move with this one. I think we should go along with this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Would you like to make a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion. Yes, sir. I make a motion that we approve the fire department's promotions as laid out, as I understand them to be. Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. St. Columbia makes a motion that we approve the funding along with the promotion of the fire department as presented by Keith Brown and our city treasurer, Mr. Turner. Is there a second? Is there a second to the motion? Okay, I'll go one more time in case somebody was on mute. All right. Motion dies for lack of a second.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Mr. Etherly.
Okay, so did we approve you said we did the promotions, but we didn't do the money. Are you saying we actually made the change in the base pay ordinance?
If I may, requested to change the base pay ordinance, it was never done. This is one of the ongoing things that we've been having, is that we've been trying to do a cleanup base pay, and that's what the issue is, because you're trying to do that. And so this is part of it. What Mr. Turner has drafted is the base pay that cleans that up, as well as the 1313 for the CDL office. But that's what it is, Mr. Etherly. There's never been a formal adoption of the base pay to clear that issue up. Mr. Turner, I yield to you. Is that correct?
Yes. And also additionally, it's in the base pay, if it was an oversight, but for the longest time, they've only had 3 captains authorized for the police department, for the fire department. And since I've been here and since the seat, remember, they've been having six captains. And so that was an oversight as well. And so those were some corrections that I wanted to correct to get the base pay in line with what their actual. Then they also want to make some additional adjustments to help them with their ISO rating as well.
And Mr. Turner, not to cut y'all, but can y'all get that ready tonight? I mean, while we on this call?
Get ready. Get what?
What you? No, I'm saying, you said in the base pay, they need to be placed in the base pay, right? Is that what y'all saying?
Yeah, the number of positions. I sent that when I sent the email regarding the firemen's the cost of the firemen's promotions. I sent a copy of the base pay as well, and I think in the email that I sent, I think I did explain that there was a difference between what the base pay authorized and what the fire department had actually been hiring for the past, or had on staff for the past several years, and what they actually wanted to change it to. And so, like I said, the base pay has been saying that they've had 3. They were only authorized for 3 captains, but since I've been here, they've had 4, 5, 6. I mean, the base pay said they were authorized for 3, but since I've been here, they've had 4, 5, and 6 captains. 6 captains most of the time. So I don't know if it's consolidated back in the day, and when they were consolidated, maybe it wasn't changed. I'm not sure. Excuse me, Mr. Ether, I'm sorry.
Now, in your email, you said you estimated it to be $26,681.69 annually.
Yes, on an annual basis.
Okay. So the motion, that the ordinance that you attached to your email is the one that you would like to have approved. And the only changes then will be the adjustments to the fire department. Is that correct?
Yeah, it would be only adjustment for the number of employees. You guys,
Number of employees.
yeah, in each position.
Okay.
Because we know that 3 is wrong. Like I said, they've been having 6 captains for the longest. And I don't know if it just didn't get changed when they doing consolidation or whatever. And so I was trying to get those numbers changed. And also in the base pay that I submitted to the council, it does include that 1313 increase in the CDL pay too as well.
But it includes the department too, is that correct?
Yes.
So we could really have one motion for both.
Mr. Valor was saying something, Mayor, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
For clarity's sake, so that everybody understand what you're on the same page, you were talking about 3 versus 6, but I think the base pay says 7. So will you specifically say what changes the base pay has in it, so everybody will have an understanding before they vote, so they will understand clearly what it isn't but a few changes, but for everybody, for clarity's sake, will you please inform them of that?
Okay. Okay, and the current base pay, has 1 chief, 1 assistant chief, 3 captains, 5 lieutenants, 4 engineers, and 16 firefighters and firefighters first class lumped together. And what they want to do is change it to 1 fire chief, 1 assistant chief, 7 captains, 6 lieutenants, 6 engineers, and 14 firefighters and firefighters first class. And you guys have already changed the pay structure for each of those positions already. That you did that a few months ago. And like I said, this will help them also in the ISO rating as well.
So the pay structure has already been changed.
Yeah,
already.
Y'all did that about 3 months ago.
Okay, so
that's police and the fire at the same time.
So that should have been told on the front end, because we haven't been having meetings twice a month. So if the money's already been allocated, they just hadn't been getting it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they hadn't been promoted into those positions.
Okay, so move. Let's go with it. I'm sorry, Joe. He just explained that. So the money is already in the budget for these people already.
Yeah, and then like I said,
so hold on, Mr. Turner. Let's just get that a step. That the money is already approved, and we did that months ago, right?
Yeah, the budget had already reflected.
Mr. Turner, follow me on this. I'm just trying to make sure.
Let him answer the question. You're going to ask him the question.
Mr. Mayor, I got this, okay? Mr. Turner, I'm just saying, yes or no, Mr. Turner, because what I'm trying to do, Mr. Mayor, I'm just trying to make sure that there's some clarification. Mr. Turner, you don't have to explain. I'm just asking, if we already allocated the money, that should have been said on the front end. I would have seconded Mr. St. Columbia's motion. The money that we're trying to put in the budget now is new money that we have not put in the budget, right? All this stuff. What you asked us to do tonight with the fire, their money's already there, right? Yes or no?
Those positions were actually in the budget. Those 6 captains were actually just we want to change the base pay to reflect 1 additional captain, but all those other positions were reflected in the base pay.
Right. So you answered
in the budget.
Yes, sir. So you answered that. So this is okay, but the previous position, all the other things we talked about before, like district court and the lawyers, that has not been put in the budget, right? This issue has already has taken care of itself. We just need to vote on it. It's not costing us any money because we already approved it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so move. I'm sorry, Mr. St. Columbia. I didn't know that. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the fire department's proposal. And I'm sorry about that, but let's clear it so the paper can get it that this is no new money. We had already approved this. Am I right, Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's what I was trying to say earlier. Thank you, Mr. Franklin.
I'm sorry, Ms. Saint.
This is an ordinance.
The motion on the table is, the motion is to approve the.
Man, I think Don was asking the question.
What-
man.
They hadn't been
The
seconded.
motion was, it was motioned by Ms. St. Columbia, but Ms. St. Columbia, I think it says in ordinance, it has to be a motion to suspend the rules, place on the third and final reading the title only, and Mr. Franklin's second will have to be there because it's amending the base page. This is the ordinance.
So moved.
Can I interject, Mr. Valley? Is there any way we could go ahead and address the CDL position so we could just do it all in one fell swoop? Because it's all in the same.
It's in the ordinance. Ms. Turner says it's already in there.
Yeah, the ordinance that I sent the council, it was my understanding that you approved that increase, that change in the ordinance, in the base pay ordinance. I included that change. And so it's my understanding that all you guys you asked for the change and you wanted to see the change. You wanted to see it reflected in the base pay before you passed it. And so those are the changes that I made. And subsequent to that, I also, in the base pay ordinance that I sent to the city council, I also included the changes for the fire department positions, because I had forgotten that you guys hadn't actually passed that ordinance. And so I kind of assumed that it had already been done. So I made changes to this base pay ordinance that I sent to the council today, reflecting the changes in the number of positions. And so those numbers are in bold. The changes are in bold in the base pay ordinance that I submitted.
The CDLs are in there too.
Yes, sir.
So we could make one motion and pass this and deal with the fire department and the CDL.
Yes, sir. It's 13 an hour for the CDL.
And Mr. Mayor,
we want to make a motion if we make a motion to ratify this base pay ordinance and put it on third and final reading and all that, we're including both is all I'm trying to say, which is good, I think.
Well, also, Mr. Mayor, can you make sure that it's noted? I'll go ahead with the motion, but before that, I want you to make sure that you let them know that this was already did, so it won't be like we slapping these other people in the face. This was already done before time. Just clarify that, and I so move.
Okay. Would you move to put it on third and final reading? Is that what we need to do, Mr. Everly or Mr. Valley? Is that right? I think we need a motion to put it on third and final reading. Is that right?
Yes, that's been done.
Yeah.
It has been done. Who was the second? Who's second?
Mr. Franklin was second. Mr. Joe made the motion. I just need to call the roll.
Okay. All right. Call the roll.
Davis,
Yes.
St. Columbia,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Etherly,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
and Ms. Crockett won't be with us this evening. So that's 5 yes, 1 absent.
And motion passed. Now you
This
need
is the ordinance to fix the number and base pay of full-time employees and elected officials, to amending all prior such ordinance and for other related purposes. Now you need a motion to adopt.
what's the ordinance number?
13,
Okay. Is there a motion for final passage? Is that will that work?
I don't.
On ordinance number 13?
Yes, it's just a motion to adopt.
Motion. So move.
Second.
Mr. Franklin moves, Mr. St. Columbia seconds. Motion for final adoption of ordinance number 13. If no other discussion or questions, at this time, call the roll.
Mayor, I have one before you call the roll. Mr. Mayor, the reason why I'm asking you to make sure that you make sure this is noted, that this is that we had did this before. Now we just clarifying it tonight, because I don't want nobody to say, well, y'all jumped and did this. I'm just trying to make sure we get some clarification, Mayor.
Well, as
And
I said earlier,
Well, it
this
was
one,
right there, but all the water board out, I have to go put some more water in.
both, both, both this one, and feedback, both this one and the CDLs are really ratifying two things that we had already approved. We're just approving it officially, or ratifying it is how I would word it.
and I understand, Mr. Mayor.
Am I saying that right, Mr. Bell? I don't know if you can hear me. Did I say that right? I think I said that right. We're really ratifying officially and legally two things that we had already approved.
And Mayor,
Correct. And you've been approving these for a while. You just had never passed the base pay ordinance. And so you approved them financially, but you didn't approve them in the base pay ordinance. So that's all you were doing. This is money, according to Mr. Turner, this is money that's already been appropriated, and all things appropriated. We just needed to authorize the pay raise. And also, I just want to comment on this narrow thing. The part of the reason why we have to do this, we have 4 or 5 lawsuits pending about this very issue where people are saying, I was given a raise, I'm given a raise, but you all are the only body to give raises in the city. And we want to make it clear that all these raises always come through you all, and there's a record that a person received a raise. And we shouldn't change that pattern at all. And this mayor hadn't done that, and the former mayor didn't, but you had some department heads under the former mayor who promised people raises and said that they got raises, but it's only this body that can do it. And so when you're voting on it, we also need to come back and tie it together with the base pay ordinance to make sure it's clear. And that's part of what we use in defenses in all these lawsuits. So I hate to be so verbose about it, but I want to explain it in detail.
Thank you, Mr. Valley. All right, if there are no other questions or comments, Ms. Ramsey, call the roll.
Etherly. Mr. Etherly. Forward.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Forward.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
St. Columbia.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Valley, do we need an emergency clause?
It's not necessary. I think it contains one, though.
No, there's one in there. It's Article 12. Do we need to pass it?
Yes, we need to vote on it if it's in there.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to pass the emergency clause for ordinance number 13?
I so move.
Second.
Somebody moves. I think that was Ms. Davis that seconded the motion.
Yes, sir.
No other questions or comments, call the roll.
Franklin.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Etherly.
Yes.
Forward.
Yes.
St. Columbia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And again, before they leave, a shout out to Chief Roderick Brown and Assistant Chief DeMarcus Borum and our city treasurer, especially because they rolled up their sleeves and have done a lot of work on this. So thank you guys, and you've done a good job on overtime as well, as I stated earlier. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you.
And that takes care of the ratification on the CDLs. But Mr. Bell, did you have anything else you wanted to say before I move on?
No, sir, I don't.
All right, so we'll move on to vehicles for the water department. I guess it's been an issue. And Mr. Collier's on. So he might want to chime in here, but I think it's been an issue for a while. We really need 3 trucks. We've got one, I think, Mr. Collier, that's either about to be out of the shop or is out of the shop. And so what we're asking for is the authority to spend approximately $27,000 per truck through the state contract for 2 vehicles for the water department. And Collier, I'd ask you if you want to comment or say anything.
Yes, I'd like to comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you all hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we are in need of at least 4 trucks, not 3, not 2, but we are in need of 4 trucks. I've got myself and two other guys that using their own vehicles. Like I say, the trucks are falling apart. What we have, and I would like for us to be able to get at least 3. We could get by on 3 because I'll still use my vehicle if I have to. But now, Mayor, I hadn't got with you, but I'm trying to talk with the mayor at Fry's Point. He has doing some type of loan on their trucks. And if I can get with him and find out what they're doing, we may be able to get all 4 trucks for the price of what we're trying to get. Just get those 2 or 3. So I would like for just to hold off on it until I can get back with the council and with you on this, if it's okay.
So, Mr. Collier, you don't want to move forward on these 2?
I would like to wait and see if I can get this deal, the deal that from what I was told from this mayor over in Fry's Point, but I need to find out where he's getting his trucks from. And I should know something in the next, couple of days or so, because I'm planning, I may go over there tomorrow.
Okay, very well. Unless there's some objection, then we'll pass over the issue of the 2 water trucks at this point and wait until Mr. Collier can come back with another report.
You can put that on the agenda, Mr. Mayor, for the next meeting on the 20th. I think we have a meeting on the 20th.
That'd be great.
Yeah. That'd be great, Mr. Ramsey, if you could do that.
Okay.
All right, if there's no objection, then we'll move on. CARES Act update. So as I sent out to y'all when I found out about it from Senator Ingram, who called me to let me know that the legislature had approved up to $486,585.17 in CARES Act money for the city of Helena-West Helena based population primarily, and also authorized the Arkansas Municipal League to administer that CARES Act program on behalf of cities. Ms. Halbert has really worked extremely hard with Municipal League. And we have, I believe it's until November 16th to get our requests in. And we've been working with them, a lot of Zoom meetings and other phone calls, trying to determine what's allowable expenditures for the CARES Act funding. So basically, I just want to let you know that Ms. Halbert's been working hard on it, and we're working on it. It's a great opportunity, but you do have to submit the paperwork in order to get the funding. So that doesn't mean we'll get off $186,000. It depends on how well we can document allowable costs up to that amount, and then anything over $50,000 individually has to be separately approved. So it's quite a bureaucratic process, but it is still good news. And yeah, I guess, and Ms. Helen's on the call as well. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to take them. Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, my call had dropped. Last thing I knew, we was talking about the Mr. Collier and the water trucks.
Well, we moved on now. We're on the CARES Act.
Okay, so what do we do? Because like I said, my call dropped. So what do we do on the?
I'll say it one more time. The $486,585 has been approved for the city of Helena-West Helena if we can document that much in expenses. The CARES Act funding, which was appropriated by Congress to the state of Arkansas, and then again to the cities, counties, and others based on population. That's the amount allotted for us if we can document the expenditures allowable costs. Ms. Helen is working hard with the Arkansas Municipal League, who is the administrator of it, and other department heads and everybody else to try and get as much documentation as in there by November 16th, which is the first main deadline. So any questions about the CARES Act is where we were. Okay. If not, the last item on the agenda is, and if you do have any questions, of course, you don't have to wait till a meeting to ask us, but the U.S. Department of Justice settlement with Corps of Engineers project. And most of you, I think, are familiar with this. The original, or what we owe the Corps of Engineers, the city of Helena-West Helena, which has been hanging over the city for 15 to 20 years, is $1,424,809. The collection process for that was a match that the city had committed to in a phase 2 of that project, and we never submitted the documentation, although we did actually match the program, and the project was completed. We never submitted the documentation in a timely manner, and therefore it remained. It would have been converted to an in-kind match, but it didn't get submitted back in those days, and it remained a cash match that we never paid. Before I became mayor, that collection process with the federal government, it went from the USDA to the Department of Treasury, and then ultimately to the U.S. Department of Justice. And their job is to collect on behalf of the U.S. Government any debts. And that's kind of the last place. And then they take you to, court ultimately. And they also hold up your federal funding. And if you get any, they'll swipe it and apply it to your debt. In March of 2019, I went up to Washington and met with Department of Justice officials. And Mr. Valley and I had spoken with them several times over the phone and email. And by this following March of 2020, I flew back up there and was able to last March 2019, was able to get them to agree to release the hold on federal money for the city of Helena-West Helena, as long as we continue to work with them on this issue and not ignore them and that sort of thing. And they did, and that relieved us of a major burden, so we could receive federal funding and they wouldn't swipe the money. And then a year later, in March of 2020, they finally agreed to a settlement of $300,000, which would be payable in $50,000 increments over 6 years. That took a long time to get them to agree to that. I was bringing that back home basically for Mr. Valley and I to present to you for approval when the COVID crisis hit in March. In fact, it hit just that very next week. The Department of Justice employees were immediately sent home, and it just, like everything else, just kind of stayed in a holding pattern. So we never actually approved that settlement. The settlement still is good, and I'm Mr. Valley, I want to recognize you here, but my ask tonight would be to ask you to approve that settlement. It'll save us over $1.1 million. So it's a pretty good offer. Mr. Valley?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. The mayor basically summed it up. This was done years ago when we consolidated. We were not aware of it. During the Mayor Hollowell's administration, he was given the notice, and we began negotiations. Then Mayor Smith has gone in, and he's done a great job of getting them to agree to reduce it greatly. It is $50,000 a year, but it's far less than the, I believe at the time it was $1.6 million. And so at this point we have to pay. There's no way for us to come back with the document to show that we did the in-kind grant back then. But at this point, we received it, the project was completed, and the mayor has diligently to work to pursue this to get it accomplished. But it requires $300,000, which is $50,000 a year. And it's something Mr. Turner's keenly aware of. Mr. Turner, when the mayor met with him, the mayor met with me, and Mr. Turner had to submit documents to them to show all of our finances. And this settlement is based upon our finances, part of it, because he had requested that the relief, and they wanted to go examine all of our documents. make sure that we wasn't just submitting some paperwork just for the sake of submitting it, and that we really needed the financial relief. And so Mr. Turner, as well as the mayor, have done a great job in showing us to and allowing them to negotiate on our behalf, and the mayor did a great job going twice and getting it done. So I would recommend, along with the mayor, that you all approve it so that we can get it done. This is one of those things that I don't think we have much of a choice in. It's a financial issue, and at some point this year it needs to be done. The mayor wants it done tonight, and I think that it needs to be done sooner rather than later.
Mr. Mayor, Joe St. Columbia.
Yes, sir.
This was originally, I was on the city council when this happened. Dr. Miller was mayor at the time, and it was a matter of they did not file the proper paperwork, I think, at that time, and that's what caused all this to get started with. But this is going to be an easy way out of that $1.5 million that the federal government claims that we owe. I would like to make the motion that we put this baby to rest and pay the appropriate amount that they're asking for, $50,000. That's for several years. Is that correct, Mr. Valley? Okay.
Yes. That's the city has never made any payments on it.
Right.
And so if it submitted all the documents, we wouldn't have had to make the payments. But at this point, it's amount of finance.
So I make the motion that we put that we adopt that recommendation from the federal government.
Mr. St. Columbia makes a motion that we adopt the settlement offer of $300,000 payable every 6 years, offered by the U.S. Department of Justice on behalf of the U.S. Corps of Engineers debt by the city. Are there any questions, or is there a second? I'm sorry.
Second.
I think that was Mr. Etherly's second motion.
Yes.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, this is Derek Turner, City Treasurer. Is there, I know you had discussed it before with the Department of Treasury, but are there still any opportunities for the city to offset even that $300,000 with some of our labor or something else that we can offer to the Department of Treasury?
That was one of the goals last March when I went up there. And the short answer and the direct answer is no.
Okay.
The indirect, less direct answer is possibly, depending on the outcome of the seawall project.
Okay.
There is Senator Bozeman. I met with Senator Bozeman about the possibility of doing just that. And there was some understanding that we could maybe offset it with future in-kind support and help with this current Corps of Engineers project. Not a promise or guarantee, and it wouldn't be a direct link, but it would alleviate our financial, it'd be a source of, or a way to help pay the $300,000.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Any other questions or comments? And thank you for what you said. Okay, call the roll.
Franklin?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Davis?
Yes.
Etherly?
Yes.
Ford? St. Columbia?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
I answered yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Oh.
All right. 5 yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make one correction. That was not Dr. Miller's term. That was during the reign of Mayor Smith at the time, Joanne Smith.
All right. What that project was, in case you didn't know, the drainage project through the middle of downtown Helena, and there was a phase 1 and a phase 2. The Colonel at the time promised the city there would be no cash match, only an in-kind, provided that the documents were, submitted to a committee that oversaw the project. Believe me, I've learned way more than I ever wanted to know about this. That they completed the project in phase 2, the documents, which was in the following administration, is when the documents didn't get submitted. And I think frankly, it was a change in regime that may have caused it, because the people that came on didn't know what the people,
right.
It wasn't a real, I guess, a good transition on that issue. And the Corps didn't do a very good job of communicating with the new administration about what was expected until it was too late.
The city did the in-kind that we were supposed to do. And
actually, it was done. And we tried really hard to recreate that documentation, but it was too late at that point. Even with it, you wrote letters, and I think and a few other people wrote letters about it, but and it was done, but the time limit passed, and there's no getting that time limit back. So at the end of the day, it was irrelevant really whether we produced the documents at this point or not, because it missed the deadline. So, but yeah, that's right. And it was a great project, and it did a lot of good, but it just didn't get followed up on correctly. And then it held over our head and just got passed along, and kicked down the road. So this finally is the end of the road. And so thank you for doing that. Mr. Valley, I think you have some other things.
Yes, I have one other thing related to the seawall. Can you all see my screen? I'm sharing my screen. Are y'all able to see it?
You got an ordinance here?
Yes, we can see.
I have an ordinance there that's from the Corps of Engineers. It's related to the seawall. The mayor has kept us apprised related to consolidated grain and the seawall. Part of the issue that we're working with now is they want the city to agree to authorize them to the water lines and anything the city owns in the levees, so that they can continue to move forward and protect the city. But this is an ordinance, and I'll just generally read portions of it for you. It's an ordinance to authorize the mayor to execute such documents as may be necessary in conjunction with the relocation of utility lines that interfere with the construction of a new flood wall by the Corps of Engineers. But this was drafted by them as a standard ordinance. It says in section 1, the city council authorizes the mayor, the city hall, and so on to sign and execute all affidavits, certificates, and such other documents as being needed to establish the city's compensable interest in relocation of the city's utility lines, including water supply, storm water drainage, and electrical supply lines that interfere with the construction of a new flood wall by the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Well, that's the essence of it, and it gives the mayor the authority to negotiate or renegotiate on it, and it's just an ordinance that's passed, and they need it passed as soon as possible. It does not have an emergency clause. In addition, there's an affidavit that's attached to here that's to be filled out by Mr. Benzine Collier, because what the city owns the water lines, the affidavit that the city owns the water lines, and they want him to execute this affidavit so that it could be done. But we're still in this issue with consolidated grain. But the issue right now is the Corps of Engineers needs to move forward as quickly as possible to secure this and other things, so they can continue to move forward with the restructuring of the flood wall. So I would ask that on this issue that you all would adopt this ordinance here tonight, and authorize Mr. Collier, to sign the attached affidavit to the ordinance.
So moved.
I second it.
Mr. Franklin.
Is your motion put on the third and final reading the title only, Mr. Franklin?
Yes, sir, it is.
What's the ordinance
And
number?
your second?
14.
14. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Franklin moves that we put ordinance number 14 on third and final reading, and Mr. St. Clair seconds the motion. Are there any questions or is there any discussion about? If not, call the roll.
Ford,
Yes.
Etherly,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
St. Columbia,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
5 yes.
Thank you. And
Okay.
we move
This
on.
is 5 yes. Oh, yeah, 4 is enough. This is the ordinance to authorize the mayor to execute such documents that may be necessary in conjunction with the relocation of utility lines that interfere with the construction of a new flood wall by the Corps of Engineers. Now you need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Mr. Franklin moves final adoption of ordinance number 14. Is there a second?
Second.
St. Columbia seconds the motion. Any other discussion or questions? If not, call the roll.
Etherly,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
St. Columbia,
Yes.
5 yes.
Motion passes. Do we need an emergency clause now?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Valley, for doing that yeoman's work. And also just to clarify, some of the original right-of-ways that the city had back in the day are still there, and that's kind of what this is about. Is we still have some of those right-of-ways in place that we have to approve or agree to to allow the Corps to complete their project. All right, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Valley?
No, sir. That's all that I have.
All right, that's everything on our agenda. Mr. St. Columbia moved adjournment.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, before you adjourn, I just got one thing. It's nothing. Do you all remember the last meeting? We talked about the sky cams. Everybody remember that?
Okay.
And it was said that I was in favor of raising taxes, and I want to give some clarity on it. That's not what I said. I said we should put something in place. If the citizens would like to have sky cams, then we should. I think, Mr. Anthony, if I'm not mistaken, then is that what I said? We need to put it out there so they can vote on it, because we don't have the money for that. Work on a public service tax. I think it's been quoted that I said that I'm in favor of raising taxes.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Well, Mr. Anthony, do anybody remember that conversation?
I mean, I don't, Ms. Frank, I don't remember exactly what you said. I mean, I am in favor of raising taxes. So,
see, I mean,
6 in one and half a dozen in the other. I suggested that we put a sales tax to people for the purpose of buying Skycam. So, if it's unclear, I am in favor of raising taxes if people would like to do that to buy Skycam. So, I don't have a problem with saying that. Don Etherly is in favor of placing a sales tax on the ballot for the purpose of buying Skycams.
That's what I'm with you on that. But it was said that I'm in favor of raising taxes, and people are asking me, they say, the paper say you're in favor of raising taxes, but if for sky cams, yes, but not just to raise taxes so people can struggle, but if all the shooting is going on in this community, all the crime is going on in this community, the sky cam was moved from Kentucky today to on Center Street, and people are happy about that, but people are kind of on Kentucky Street wishing it had to stay. But that's something that we ought to be happy to say that we need more sky cams to help our police department. So I don't want to go on those things that Mr. Anthony, I'm with you on that. I'm not in favor of raising taxes to just say, we raise them, but in the purpose of getting the sky cams, that's what the intentions were. But they mean like I'm just gonna raise people taxes just to raise them. So I mean, I just wanted to get some clarity so the paper could retract it, because that's not what I said. But thank you. I had the floor for just a moment.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. And Ms. Ramsey, if you'll get with everybody on a date for a meeting or workshop or whatever we want to call it on the other issues that were discussed tonight, and we'll follow up with you on get some dates on that. Mr. St. Columbia has a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
I think somebody seconded the motion.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, guys.
Good evening.
Old habits die hard.